Welcome back, everybody. Engage, the transformational storytelling platform, has become a household name for all of us. However, the story behind Engage is not known to a lot of us. Welcome, Agatha Juma and Donald Bosire.
Thank you.
Allow me to take us back into the journey of Engage. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to create this transformational platform.
I was new at a job. I'd gotten a job as a CEO of a tourism association. And on my first trip overseas, I was speaking at a conference, and I had full panic attack. And I couldn't speak, and it was embarrassing. And I'd prepared. So when I came back to Kenya, I thought to myself, I need to get really good at this speaking thing because I'd be doing it a lot for work. And that kind of embarrassment is not my portion. So I came back, I did a bit of research about public speaking and communication, and I found Toastmasters. So I attended a few clubs as a guest and landed at SEMA, and I felt right at home. One of the members at SEMA that caught my eye was Don. I realized he was a good mentor. He was a harsh evaluator, but useful, and with time we developed a friendship.
Funny as well that Evelyne is doing this interview because I joined Summer Toastmasters because of Evelyne. And for those who don't know, Evelyne and I are colleagues at work, and she was delivering your icebreaker. And I remember Evelyne coming to me and saying, "Hey Don, you should come to my club, Toastmasters." I thought it had something to do with wine at the beginning, like toasting. And she said you said you're delivering your icebreaker. And I came just to support a friend. I was like, this thing can't be for me. And that first meeting, other than the fact that Evelyne delivered an excellent icebreaker, there was an amazing experience at Summer Toastmasters. Just the whole experience of having people who've gathered to improve their leadership and communication skills in a safe environment. So by the time Agatha joined, we all were of the same mind. And SEMA had the same impact that it had on us, that there was a family of people who were willing to help each other become better communicators and create a safe space. And for Agatha and I, then, we found a point of convergence, because as our friendship blossomed, the whole sense of storytelling and loving, communicating with impact was born.
So like Don and Agatha, a lot of people join Toastmasters with the same mindset to learn to become better communicators and leaders. And so back to you, Agatha and Don, how did you then transform what you had learned at Toastmasters into Engage, the platform, the storytelling platform?
As I progressed my journey at Summer Toastmasters, we got to a point where I thought, how can this be useful outside of this Toastmaster space? Agatha told me once that we need to have coffee and let's have a conversation and let's see what more we can do. But she tells the story so much better, so I'll allow her to pick it up from there.
There was so much value we were getting from Toastmasters for ourselves, but for the two of us, there was something extra. Listening to people's mini stories as they worked on a project for us was greatly satisfying. And we thought there's many stories out there in the world that are not told or are not heard because they're not within the confines of Toastmasters. So we wondered, how about giving people who are not within the club framework an opportunity to tell their stories, and we sit back and listen. So it started as a selfish project. Let's get people to tell their stories, and we sit and listen, and at the end of the evening, we go home. And so on 14th of February 2015, we held our very first Engage. And we picked the smallest theater we could find in Nairobi. At the Braben School, the Austin Room holds 120 people. And we called everyone we knew. We sent messages. We begged, pleaded, cajoled, blackmailed. Those who owed us money had to come. And we filled the room. And it was great. And then people started asking, so when is the next one? For the first one, we had 5 speakers, and they were all Toastmasters, because we started with what we knew. And when people asked when's the next one, we realized, we were not the only ones who enjoyed. And that's how it's grown. We celebrated turning 6 on February 14th this year.
Wow, what an inspiration. Indeed, what you started has inspired many. And your tagline is inform, inspire, influence. How did that come about, and what does it mean to you? What were you trying to achieve even in view of that tagline?
We are convinced that when anyone speaks, so not just in a social gathering, having conversations, but when you're invited to speak somewhere, when you're called to speak to a group of people, when you're called to tell a story, you do it for one of three reasons, or one or more of these three reasons: to inform, to share new information, that's why we speak or communicate, to inspire people to achieve a higher version of what they have already achieved, or to influence a decision. And because then when we formed this as a company and we could then see where it was going, we wanted the stories that were told on the platform to do that. If you're coming to speak at Engage, you're either coming to inform, to inspire, or to influence.
Excellent. And Don, over to you. Over those last 6 years, you've been providing this platform. What you have done is provided a platform for ordinary people to share their extraordinary stories. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have come. We've seen about 200 speakers. You've been to different countries. You've been to the US, Atlanta, and New York. You've been to Kisumu. You've been to Mombasa. And recently, you've been to South Africa. What do you feel inspires people to want to be a part of this platform, even as the audience? What are they coming for? What do you think draws them to listen to these stories, this inspiration that is shared by ordinary people through their extraordinary circumstances?
I think you got it right when you talk about ordinary. A lot of the time, we live in a society whereby the people who influence others, the people who are routinely called to speak to other people, to sort of inspire other people, to be examples to other people, are people we cannot relate to because either what we see as a success or what we perceive as a success seems unattainable. So if it's a CEO of a large bank, it's a politician, it's somebody who is a standout man or woman. What has surprised us during this journey is that people relate to people who are just like them, who have circumstances, challenges, whose lives are just like theirs. You're a parent, you're struggling with a habit, you have gone through loss, things that happen to everyday people, and people who are just like you, who not only look like you, they sound like you, they live right next to you. And when people have been able to see that, hey, Evelyne was at Engage, and I didn't know she had that story, I think that has had the sort of a ripple effect to encourage others to also say, hey, I have a story as well. And I think my story can be able to positively impact somebody else. So that impact of having just normal, everyday people share their stories has been infectious. And that's, I think, has been pivotal to the growth of the platform.
What has surprised you most about Engage, even as you have continued with this platform?
What has surprised me most is just the fact that we are all the same. And when I say we are all the same, it doesn't matter your age, your social setting, your economic background. As human beings, we want the same things. We want to be accepted. We want to be understood. We want our dreams to be valid. We want people to like us, especially people who are important. But we all struggle with the same things, the same habits, the same fears. That for me has been a surprise because you sit and imagine people of a different social demographic or socioeconomic strata struggle with different things than others. At a very basic human level, we all want the same things, we all struggle with the same things. Number two, I have come to know this as a fact, that everyone has a story. You just need to care enough to want to hear it, and most people just need a little hand-holding to get the confidence to tell the story.
I think for me, what has surprised me, to add to what Agatha said, is the fact that there's a large number of people who want to listen to stories even as adults. You probably have thought that this is something we enjoyed as children, but that the fact is a lot of people who find comfort, who find encouragement, who draw wisdom from the experiences and stories about, and it's a growing number, so that has been a pleasant surprise.
I would like to ask you, where do you see Engage going in the next 5-10 years? What's your vision for Engage? Right now, you've reached over 13 million people through YouTube and even physical spaces. But where do you see yourself taking Engage, not just in terms of numbers, but in qualitative impact as well?
So our vision is we're building the largest library of African stories and experiences. That is our vision. So as we go into Joburg, as we look to go into Nigeria and into Ghana and into Ethiopia and into Mauritius and into all these other countries, we feel that there's not enough African stories and experiences out there. The ones that are there were curated for us, what we learned in history books, or are stories of flies, pain, suffering, AIDS, poverty porn, as I call it. But there's a lot of experiences of us as humans, as Africans, that need to go out there to other Africans and to the world, and we would like to curate that.
And as we do that, I see ourselves in the next 3 to 5 years just letting go of Engage more and more. And that's where we're headed. We are letting go. And letting go from, when you get a baby and you're so careful, you want to curate it, you want to take care of every moment, you want to know where it is. But as we achieve what Agatha has set out in building this largest library of African stories, we will be letting go. And letting go does not mean we will totally remove ourselves from the process, but we will be able to let go to other people to curate this, to curate these stories, to give it a different experience, because that's really the only way it can grow. And this growth will be growth that will be managed, but will also include and involve other people other than ourselves.
So Donald, what would you like to challenge people to do, especially with their Toastmasters experience that they have actually gained from this journey?
What our Engage journey has taught us, number one, is that Toastmasters is a great resource. It's a great community. And a lot of what I have learned about becoming more impactful in my communication, becoming a better leader, was nurtured at Toastmasters. I feel, though, that many of us get sort of stuck in Toastmasters, and by stuck I mean we do enjoy growing there. And a lot of us have used it. I've applied it at work, in our businesses, in parenting, in our relationships. We've applied that skill. My challenge to those who have not, or maybe those who have not applied themselves as much, is get started. We learn a lot of things, not just in leadership, but just to communicate better. Get started. Whether it is coaching somebody, whether it is starting a business, whether it is becoming a mentor outside of the Toastmaster space, a coach, using it to take your own Toastmasters experience to a higher level. And by higher, I mean as you grow within Toastmasters, how can you help others grow outside of it? How can you challenge others to be better versions of themselves outside of it? How do you move out of the safe Toastmasters environment? Because it is a great space. It is a safe space. The world out here is not as safe. The world out here does not always care for pose fillers. And the world out here wants you to connect to them. How do you move out of that environment whereby you receive great feedback? It is nurturing. People love you. It's a community of friends. How do you move out of that and apply the skill and experience outside there in a way that connects to people, has impact, and that uplifts them? That's my challenge. Find a way in your space, in your environment, in your community.
Why stories? Why not stories? I mean, stories make the world go round.
Storytelling is a part of life. From time immemorial, people have sat around fires, in their living rooms, and told stories. These stories have immortalized culture. They've been able to show a pattern in why we do the things that we do. And storytelling is even more important now because it shows who we are, not just for ourselves, but for the organizations we work for what we stand for, and for what we believe in.
More importantly, in a corporate organization setting, the most impactful leaders are the ones who tell a story of the strategy that we're pursuing, and what we hope to get at the end of this strategy, as opposed to words that have been cascaded down from HQ and this is what we need to do. Because stories bring relatability and they customize to our situation.